I don't think that becoming obese is a choice, but I do feel that remaining obese, once you know what you can do, once you understand calories in, calories out, and that you can lose weight through diet.
What a guan, everybody, what a guan. Is obesity a choice? Just that single question to answer today.
Topic about obesity, and I think I had originally made a post and it said obesity is a choice, and a lot of people, it was very controversial. A lot of people were saying, I agree with you. A lot of said you disagreed, and after reading all the comments, and I think you wrote a comment on that, I had to change my mind because I could see at birth you're perhaps not born obese and then you become obese, but you're a baby, you're a child, your parents are feeding you, you don't know what you're doing. And so
this is a very good point. Studies show if you grow up in a household where your parents are obese or fat, there's a good chance you're going to be fat as well. It's not an accident when you see these families where parents are big that the kids are big. If you think about it, it makes sense. Worst of all, studies show if you grow up as a fat kid, it's even more difficult as an adult to lose weight than if you were slim, became an adult, and got fat to lose weight. You just might have been unlucky in the environment you grew up in, unfortunately.
So it's not fair to say that somebody who's a kid growing up is obese and blaming them. So I don't think that becoming obese is a choice, but I do feel that remaining obese, once you know what you can do, once you understand calories in, calories out, way through diet and cardio, of which we've talked about today.
This is a great point. It may not be your choice to become obese, especially in the kid situation. The kid is being fed McDonald's all the time. What does the kid know, right? But you do have a choice to not remain obese. You can simply put down the fork. Put it down. Takes like a second. You can go for a walk. You can become more physically active. Go to the gym, hire a personal trainer like me. There are many, many things you can do.
I think that obesity is a choice at that point. And what is your feelings on that statement?
Yeah, through life, the way that I describe it is that we kind of go through it passively. You're a kid, you're just getting fed whatever's in front of you, right? And then they come to me and go, I want to do something about it. Most people go through life passively, subconsciously. The choice isn't like, do I want to have obesity or not? It's more like, I just want to not be hungry. I just want to have some pleasure here. I want to be.
He raises a good point when he says most people just go through life passively. This is true. They just wake up every morning, do the same stuff. If you want, you can just get in your car tomorrow and drive to Alaska. I know that sounds impossible. You can literally get in your car tomorrow and drive to Alaska. You may not want to do this, but you could do this if you wanted to. But most people just go through life passively.
Out of pain, whatever. That's the immediate choice. And in fact, there, it's funny on those posts, there are people coming on like, well, I believe it's a choice. I lost 100 pounds or whatever, and that's because I chose to do so. And I'm like, yeah, but did you choose to be that way in the first place? Nobody can do it for you. You either got there passively, whether it's subconsciously or just not a priority, whatever. You have to make the choice to do something about it. Whether you're going to be successful or not, I can't say, because as you mentioned before, some people just feel miserable.
One caveat here, so I'm going to slightly disagree with him. When he says you can't say whether you can be successful or not, you can increase the odds of you being successful. If you want to get better at playing basketball and you just randomly dribble a basketball by yourself, yeah, you'll get better. But if you ask that guy or lady who's good in basketball to give you some tips, you can get even better. Watch some YouTube videos on that. You can do things to stack the odds in your favor. And remember, I always said the two things that held me back when I was fat: ignorance and arrogance. Because that pride is still the first deadliest sin. Think, oh, I can figure this all out on my own. Probably should get some assistance.
And they're trying to resolve their obesity. So let's take an extreme example. Someone who's 400 pounds, they lose 150 pounds, which is amazing. They get down to 250 pounds and they still technically have obesity. Are they choosing to still have that? And they're working tooth and nail to stay there. The analogy would be like, I wrote this down before we got on our talk here. If you're going from New York City to LA, let's say, some people can fly there on a plane, some people can drive, some people can bike, and other people have to walk. Technically, to get there, it's a choice. A person can walk there. For many people, it's maybe not a choice. I don't know how.
Well, he raised a good point there. It's obviously going to be way more difficult to get from one city to another if you're walking, but it's also a matter how badly do you want to get there. I mean, in my case, I was pre-diabetic, so I really wanted to lose the weight. And I wanted to get muscle. So how badly do you want to get this muscle? I heard a cool story. This guy, what motivated him to get muscle, he said when he was in high school, this girl he had a crush on, she wanted him to throw her in the pool. So he lifts her up and he got to the edge. She's like, stop, stop, stop. And he's like, what? She's like, you're shaking so much, you're vibrating. I don't feel safe having you throw him in the pool. And he said that motivated him to go to lift weights to get strong. Different strokes for different folks. The point being, he was this really skinny kid. But just like when you had to study for an exam, The harder you study, the more you prepare, the better your grades. If you really want to walk from one city to the other, you will eventually get there. You may just have terrible genetics, born in a bad situation, what have you, but you still have a choice.
I think we have a lot of control over our behaviors, but say when you get really hungry and tired and you get home from work, you're trying your best. Your life is hard. Your hormones, like when you're trying to diet down, you're super hungry and craving food. The body's just kind of pushing us towards a different way. It's a behavior. It doesn't directly control the scale. It just has an indirect effect on the scale. So
he's kind of implying to me that behaviors can be changed, but we know that the science is clear. You can change habits. You can change behaviors. There are people who are incredible procrastinators. I know they're gurus on time management. This is real. This is not fake. They tell you this. So they train themselves. They change their behaviors. Where they need to see therapists, get a coach, what have you, read a book. Habits can be changed. This is true. There is always a choice at the end of the day.
I would argue it's not a choice, but the attempt to lose weight and resolve your obesity is a choice. I don't think they're choosing obesity. I think they're nudged in a different direction. I don't know how else to describe it.
Well, I think that I would respond by saying, for example, if I want to have more muscle, if you're just a normal person, you don't train, I would say having more muscle is a choice. And they say, well, I don't have really great genetics. I'm skinny, fat. I don't have a lot of muscle. But if you join the gym and train, say 3-4 days a week, you're probably going to put on a couple pounds of muscle. You might not put on 50 pounds and look like a bodybuilder, but you can certainly choose more muscle. And so is obesity.
This is a very great point. I mean, most guys want muscles, but how many guys really work hard enough to get the muscles? Let's be real about this. They want the muscles. They show up to the gym occasionally. They don't go that hard when they're in the gym. They play around, they chit chat, blah, 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 blah. Endless amount of guys that were asking me, what was I doing? I would give them the information to my first coach, the bikini model, and she's smoking hot. So they would look at her picture and go, wow, she's beautiful. I'm like, yeah, she can help you get your muscles. You know what they would do? They wouldn't call. Not one single guy called her. None. Then when I had a guy coach, again, nobody called him either. Some people just don't want it badly enough.
Choice. Well, if you're overweight, you can certainly put the fork down, eat less, and exercise, and you will absolutely lose weight to the point of you will die of starvation, of anorexia, if you don't.
This is so true. I mean, think about it. If you're stuck on a desert island, you would lose weight. You'd have to be forced to forage, catch fish, hunt, chase things. There would be no fast food, no ice cream cake sandwiches for me. So yeah, I would get leaner. Anybody would get leaner.
Don't eat anything, and if you exercise 10 hours a day, you will lose that weight. No matter what, it is a choice, but to not hurt anyone's feelings, you have to say that choice for some people is such a difficult choice to try to make because it's such an impossible uphill battle of suffering and feeling like crap that it's not fair to just say, hey, it's your choice, you chose that. Because if I get to 5% body fat.
I think he raised a very good point here. It's both such a difficult choice for some people that for all practical purposes they don't make it, and it's also the politically correct thing to say.
So some people there, the 400-pound person, they might get to 250, pushing, and they get to 200, but their ideal weight is 150, and they're like, it's not worth it. And so I understand that because of the genetics and the food choices, and perhaps they don't have the education on what to eat, all these things, the underactive thyroid, all that, it's going to make it so hard to lose that weight.
All of those things are correct, but you notice all those things can be mitigated. Thyroid problems, there's medication, you can see a doctor. You don't know what to do, you can hire a coach. Again, somebody like me. You're watching this video, this helps. If you're clueless, there are things you can do to, again, stack your crappy odds more in your favor.
Because you can lose the weight if you're forced to with handcuffs and you can't eat, that it is a choice. It's just such an extremely difficult choice to make that it's not worth making that choice.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. So going back to your bodybuilding example, can somebody just be you if they choose to? I would say no. They can gain muscle though, right? They can gain muscle. That's their choice.
You see, Greg. Look like Greg is like, they can't look like me. Greg is hilarious. He's like, no, they can't look like me. But he's nodding his head, no, yeah, they can gain muscle, but no, they can't look like me. Greg has elite level genetics. Elite. He has world records. The world is a very big place. The dude has world records. No joke. He's an IFBB pro. Only a handful of people on the planet can do what he's doing.
Attempt to be like you is absolutely their choice. Can they be you? Probably not. Who knows what's out there right now?
They could use every drug in the world, go on all the bodybuilding programs, have the best coach in the world, the best diet, and 99% of people would never have the muscle mass that I have right now.
Greg shut that down real fast. He's trying to say, look, if you take the special supplements, PEDs that Greg has, you can look like Greg. No, you cannot. Surely part of the reason Greg looks the way he looks is because he's taking steroids. He's admitted to this, right? He still had to go to the gym, lift weights, blood, know what the hell he's doing. And basically what he's saying, even if you did everything he did, it's like if we both train like Michael Jordan, can we jump from the free throw line? No, we cannot. It is what it is.
It's just unfortunate. It's just genetics.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you can't improve yourself. That's all.
So
That's a key point. You can improve yourself. You don't need to look like a bodybuilder to look fantastic. Just look like you lift weights and you'll look great.
I think if we're kind of in agreement there, then I think that's about right then. I think if people understand that concept, that how it becomes so difficult, it becomes practically not a choice, but like still technically can. So here's an example. I had a patient that they had a gastric bypass. I put them on all the drugs in the world that are approved for weight loss, and just there's no way they have an appetite, and they don't. They told me that like I don't know. I got to stop. I can't stop buying candy bars at the pharmacy. And I was like, I don't know how to address that.
And so we see sometimes people encouraging people to lose weight. And it was this story I watched the other day. And after the guy hit the plateau of 200 pounds, he bought him a huge cake, probably 2,000 calories, and like, let's celebrate. And I'm like, that's like saying to somebody, let's take you off of alcohol and you're 30 days sober and let's celebrate with a beer. I'm like,
yeah, that makes absolutely no sense, right? You're just setting yourself a failure. Why would you do this? You're carrying an alcoholic to go and have a drink. It's where you just got to be strong and tell them no.
Yeah. Here's another example. Okay. Let's say I'm like, obesity is not a choice. But if we took someone with obesity, let's say one of my patients, and we put them on a stranded island, and you're like, goodbye. And they're like, I have to survive. And they're going around having to fish or hunt, gather berries, and who knows, climb up in the trees and get some sort of fruit and vegetables. They're going to lose weight. It's just going to happen. What I would say is that our environments drive us in a certain way. That's why it kind of.
So in this case, you can replicate a similar effect in your household, right? If in your pantry, you have terrible food items, in your fridge, you have terrible food items, you'll eventually eat them. If you've already bought them, again, the money's gone. You need to just get rid of them, donate them, give them away. And everybody wants their kids to be healthy. Want their young sons to be fit, handsome, their daughters pretty. You want to set them up for success later on in life.
if I tell you that you can do something about it, which you can, it gives you the power. And the more they learn, for example, they could get some medications. So it certainly can help if you have an underactive thyroid or something to decrease appetite. It's good, fat burners, all this stuff can help decrease appetite. It's going to help you. If you get like my cookbook and learn about low calorie foods, learn what has high calories, what has low, make the substitutions, that's going to help. If you learn what triggers you, like if I have ice cream in the house, cereal, it's a night, I see it and I just want the whole thing. Like it's just a trigger for me. Then people have chocolates and candies on their work desks. And I'm like, every day you're forcing yourself to use willpower to not eat that.
This is all things we've spoken about on the show before. You can't rely on willpower. You'll eventually crack. Everybody breaks on the torture. Everybody. Not in real life. You'll eventually dip into the cookie jar, grab some cookies or candy or whatever it is. Those calories in, calories out. It's all about the laws of thermodynamics on this channel, as you know. We are a big believer in this, huge believer in this.
In this house, we obey the laws of thermodynamics.
And to those of you who think otherwise, I don't really care what you think.
It's going to take a lot more effort. That's when the hunger and the suffering and all that stuff really starts taking over. The closer you get to your...
And that's a key point. That's when the hunger and the suffering starts taking over, right? I mean, it is what it is. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Every great accomplishment you've ever had in your life, you have to work for it. You have to work for it. I don't care what it is. Schoolwork, job, your postal stamp collection, whatever it is you did. You got great in some video game. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort. You have to make some kind of sacrifice, some kind of suffering. Because you are determined to transform your body, you made it to the end of this video. To get more tips about how to look great and feel even better, check out one of these videos you see on the screen. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. So later's my massive. Me a go long now. For those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that's goodbye, my people.